fired for fashion and insensitive surprises.
On this episode of Simply Necessary Conversations.
So first up, as usual, we're going to hop into trending topics. I've been seeing this for probably a month now of the office siren trend, where you're supposed to, the goal is to kind of give like that sultry, sexy vibe, but at work. And one person, according to TikTok's news sources, had a 6-figure job, and she lost her job because she wore a leather skirt and a tube top at work. So I wanted to, as people that are, in professional settings and we also love fashion, where is the line? Like, what can you wear to work to give that sexy vibe? Or should you even be giving a sexy vibe at work? What is the issue with this trend?
She didn't lose her job because of what she wore. She lost her job for not having good judgment. Because, even if you were going to try to give sexy siren at work, tube top and leather skirt at a 6-figure job, I'm assuming it's some type of office job. Like, why would you do that?
And I'm not saying you can't wear a leather skirt, but it needs to be like a pencil
tube top,
skirt.
Though,
and like a tube top, no.
Well, the only way you can get away with a tube top is if you have a tasteful jacket on top of it and it's not showing
or
your
like
stomach.
a tube top that's like you have like a white long sleeve and then the tube for a pop of color or something,
But even that, depending on where you work, could be too risque for work. As someone that tries to be as unsexy as possible at work because I have a job where it does not make sense, you got to dress for your job. You got to dress for your job. Yeah. Now, if I were working somewhere where I was around adults all day and only adults, I would wear some different stuff because I would be able to.
Yeah.
But I work with kids, so I'm always as covered up as I can be within reason. I try to be slightly fashionable, but my fashion is not my top priority because that's not what I'm there for. But if you had a 6-figure job and nothing in your mind said I should not wear a tube top and leather skirt, then they fired you for not having good judgment, not your fashion.
I've been seeing people doing the TikTok OOTDs or TikTok outfit inspos for work, and it's like, y'all wearing that to work? And it depends on where you work. Because if I worked out of predominantly Gen Z, TikTok, Netflix, if I worked in that landscape of digital media, then maybe I would wear something that would be slightly more risque or, slightly
not even
more
risque, but just something that's more fashion forward. Yeah. Because you should never be risque no matter where you are unless you're working in a strip club or somewhere where that is the goal. But risque is not that. You can wear fashion forward things.
And I feel like you could still wear fashion forward things at your corporate office job.
As long as it makes sense.
I work at a TV station. I am somewhat expected to dress well when I go, especially if I'm going out in the field.
To look at to the public because
at any moment you
station gives you could be on TV at any moment.
But you also have to be sometimes, not necessarily at my job, but sometimes I'll see people heading into work and it's just now you trying to get somebody's husband with that outfit on.
Or trying to get inappropriate attention.
It seems like a little bit thirsty. You have to be very and also something too that I learned while working at a TV station is you need to sit down and whatever you're wearing. Happens. Because sometimes something can look completely modest and acceptable while you're standing up, but as soon as you sit down, if you have on a skirt that's a little too short, then it looks
even
a
if
little
you got on a
top
where when people are standing up talking to you, they're looking down your shirt the whole time. I try to be mindful of that when I'm going to work because, like I said, I work with kids, so I try to now when we're doing this podcast and just having fun, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear because you
can wear whatever you want in your personal life.
But when I'm at work, my thing is to be, because studies have been done. People treat you better when you look better.
And
that's just a fact.
And I feel like you feel better
at work. And you feel better when you look better too. At least I do. So I do try to, like I said, I try to wear something that is appropriate but still stylish. Something where the kids are, going to respect me as a professional because you need to look professional. But nothing would ever make me, not an office job, not the job I have, nothing that would make me wear a tube top and leather skirt to work. And you also
need to know your body type because because Sally Mae has something on does not mean that you also need to wear that. For me, I know I have really long legs. Mm-hmm. Some of the girls at my job can wear a shorter skirt. Yeah. But if I put it on, then I look like I'm going to the beach. Like a micro
skirt, yeah.
So,
and then
you need to know your body.
Sometimes if somebody heavy wears something that's a little bit snug, people are going to be like, oh, it's just a little bit snug. But if you are boom, 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 and it's fitting every curve, it's going to be looked at differently because you don't have to.
It's a double standard sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on your body type because someone could weigh the same amount. And if you have that like hourglass shape, then it's a little bit more provocative, a little bit more attention grabbing than if someone doesn't have that.
Because I see people wear stuff and it's like, I couldn't wear that. Like I couldn't wear that to work. I couldn't wear that because I don't want to welcome certain kinds of attention because I'm not supposed to be getting that kind of attention.
And this isn't even just for the girls because sometimes the guys be wearing some stuff where it's just like, now you know them pants are a little tight.
I mostly see guys that just are too casual. I've not seen them with like anything. I haven't seen that. I've seen them way too casual. It's like your pants are showing everything that you have and it's very inappropriate. Yeah. Or guys that like to wear the skin tight shirts because they work out. The muscle shirt. And it's just like, that's not professional. To like, it's not just the girls. Like you need, as a man, you also should be professional at work. And sometimes people are a little bit too casual. Sometimes people are too casual. Now, there are days, half day or when it's just the adults, like there's no kids there. I can wear something that I wouldn't wear when the kids are there because I'm just like, shifting stuff around or grading papers or just sitting, in my room working on things. But, I think she, like I said, that wasn't what she wore. That was just impaired judgment. And they felt like that I wouldn't trust somebody to make decisions if they didn't know what was appropriate to wear to work, especially something that off. Like that's way off for an office job. If you can't wear it to church, you probably can't wear it to work. That's the rule of thumb. Probably. I feel like a lot of black people. A lot of jobs. Business casual means church clothes. Right. If you can't wear it in the house of God, then you should not be wearing it in your office space. Yeah. So I feel like, she may have gotten what she deserved. And it just makes you wonder, like, how she got the 6-figure job if her judgment was. And what was going on with her? Did she do that because there was somebody at the office that she was trying to get their attention? Like, there had to be, not had to be. I would assume that there was some other motivation. Also, I'll throw in, too, that if someone has a body, body is tea, as the young folks say, body is tea. And they still have on somewhat of a conservative outfit, but you might be able to see a little booty pop. That's not. You might be able to see a little. Like you can't expect for them to dress like their Little House on the Prairie. It's not up to you to point it out and be like, "Oh, well, where are you going today?" Yeah. Keep your. It's just like, okay, now you're being a little pervy because my outfit was perfectly fine. You just the body is tea. I can't help that. Keep your fashion tips to yourself. If it's not somebody that you have a personal relationship or that you know y'all talk like that, keep your comments. HR is a phone call away for some people. So yeah. But moving on to Let Me Put Y'all On, we've kind of been doing staycation for, the break vibes. And a Tampa cafe that we stumbled upon, excellent food, great customer service, not expensive, which is, and convenient for downtown. Yeah, like if you're at one of the events, like if you're at River O'Green or, whatever the event is that's happening downtown, then it's a good place to stop. It's called Moxie's Cafe and Caterer. It's a sandwich shop. They had, what did we get? We got a Cuban and it was a Tampa something. I can't remember. No, not Tampa. It wasn't a Reuben. It was a Tampa, like something specifically for Tampa. I can't remember. And then I also got a tropical, I think, smoothie. It was like tropical flavor. Well, whatever the smoothie was, you truly enjoyed it. The smoothie, forget the sandwiches. The sandwiches were excellent, but that smoothie, it was so fresh. It tasted better than like the chain restaurants. It was somewhat more expensive, but like if you go to tropical smoothie, you're gonna pay like $7-8 for a smoothie, and they were also about $8. And it was healthy. You didn't feel like you were putting trash into your body, so it was a good. And it was a cute look. Like they had indoor and outdoor seating. She let me charge my phone, so it was a good environment. So if y'all are in the downtown, and it was woman owned, if I'm not mistaken. And wasn't it also veteran owned? I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure it was woman owned. So, and right now we're taping during Women's Month. It may or may not air during Women's Month, but so give them a shot. And they have like coffees, lattes, pastries, sandwiches. I would definitely go back there. Yeah. It was in a good spot. But moving on to what had happened was. So Anthony Mackie did an interview, and obviously he's in the headlines because of his new movie and him always, kind of being in the lexicon? Zeitgeist. But he said in this interview that success is given, it's not earned. And people were kind of debating about it. Is that true? Is that not true? I kind of agree with him.
but I feel like it's also a very nuanced topic.
Definitely nuanced.
Because, sometimes you'll see people that don't necessarily, in your opinion, don't need to be where they are. And it obviously kind of gives they just, they knew who they needed to know to get where they needed to get. And then there's other people that you see that are really hardworking and maybe they're not as successful in their life. And you're kind of wondering why.
I think it's a combination of when hard work meets opportunity. I don't think success is ever just given. Let me back.
No, sometimes
there are some people, Nepo babies and people like that. There are some people that are placed in positions that maybe they did not earn or that they did not deserve. But when we're talking success, true success, because you can position somebody or set somebody up somewhere, but if they don't know what they're doing, they're not going to be successful.
Well,
they're not. They might seem to be successful. They may stay in that position for a while, but eventually, if enough time goes by, time will tell the truth. So I don't feel like people that are just placed in positions, unless they're placed in positions and then supported by a lot of outside people or other people, they don't tend to stay in those positions and continue to be successful. People might not ask them to step down. People might not vote them out, but their failures and flubs are going to show up. There is a certain amount of, as my friend Karen says all the time, hey, Karen girl, favor is not fair. If you have the favor of God or even the favor of important or influential people, decision-making people is what I was going to say. And then, if you have that on your side, you can rise a little bit faster and you might be able to go a little bit farther. But you also have to have some skill and knowledge in order to maintain that success. In your situation, you had a lot of push-ups from the family. You had a lot of from your professors at your college, even people that you had previously worked with that saw your skill. And so they put in good words for you here and there and kind of expedited what I think would have happened anyway. You might have had to work a little bit longer and harder.
But like I said, it's nuanced because I'm successful because I was given the opportunity to get a good education. I was given the opportunity to not go to bad schools. I was given the opportunity to not have to ride the school. All of that stuff put me in a place where I could be intelligent enough to maintain the success that was given to me.
But school academically, the reason that all of that could take place was because my mom worked hard to make sure I was good. And so I was able to work hard to make sure that you were good. My mom and dad, let me say that. My mom and dad worked hard to make sure that I was good. So while, yes, you had some legs up, but there was a lot of hard work.
I'm not saying that just because you're given success, there wasn't hard work involved. But sometimes it does take
who you know matters.
We wouldn't be where we are if people in grandma and granddaddy's life didn't give them opportunities.
True.
Yes, also they worked hard, but there's plenty of people I know that they've worked hard their whole life, but they didn't have family that gave them opportunities. So now they're having to work extra hard to get over that hump. And then maybe they will be that success story of the grandparents that gave their future lineage opportunities that they didn't have.
Well, usually the people that give the opportunities, somewhere, if you keep going back far enough, there was some hard work that positioned people to be able to give the opportunity. So maybe you were just given an opportunity. And I don't mean you specifically. I mean in general, generalize you. You may have been handed an opportunity, but somewhere somebody before you had to work to be able to be in position to offer you that opportunity. So I think,
but I still think it all goes back to being at the right place at the right time and knowing the right people.
Yeah.
Even with the hard work, if you keep going back generations and generations of some of the most famous people.
And I don't care.
It's still going to somewhat be
some people
given.
would say luck. What I call it, the favor of God, because I feel like He orders all my steps. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like He orders my steps. So there's been a lot of times what has even seemed like a failure on my part has flipped and turned into a success. A lot of things that I might have started down this path thinking I'm going to do this, and along the way I got detoured, but then the detour led to something either just as good or better. A lot of ventures that I've tried in my life, they didn't pan out the way I thought they would, but they set me up for another venture that was successful. So I think, there's a lot of luck, there's a lot of favor, and then there is when preparation meets opportunity. That's what
But then
it is.
I will, on the other side of that, I think I'm not going to name names, but y'all can figure out who I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that are in very important positions that should not be there, that just keep seeming to get lucky in a way.
Or get away with stuff.
Or have the support of people. And it's just kind of like, why are you even here? You don't even go here, to quote Mean Girls. Like, why are you even here?
Yeah. Well, I believe, as the Bible says, all things work together for the good for those who love the Lord. So they can do whatever, however, as often as they want to, if you are doing the right thing and you live long enough.
But there are some people that are doing the wrong thing and that they're still in positions of success.
Seemingly. Sometimes bad things are allowed to happen to set up better things on the other side. I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to hold on to my faith and say
but then that's still saying that success is given.
Well, given by who? In my case, I feel like it's given by God. Yes, success is given, but it's not given by people. There have been times when people that didn't necessarily even care for me or you or whatever have had to step aside and let us cook, as they say. Like sometimes God will make your enemy your footstool. Sometimes you will be able to do things in spite of, or even
but I feel like you're making this conversation too spiritual.
Well,
in the realm of this world right here.
Even in a worldly sense, if you're generally a good person,
if you're generally a good person, you still might not get success.
You might not get success, but I feel like more often than not, things are going to work out better for you than they would if you're a bad person. Like I don't feel like being sinister or trifling or conniving or sneaky over the long haul works out for you. It might work out for you temporarily.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm still saying that there are some good, hard-working people that are still not successful by the standards of the society.
Well, based on that, I feel like there's a lot of things, even though I'm blessed and highly favored, I feel like there's a lot of things that I should have. There have been jobs that I have been on that I should have been able to, able to advance, and I didn't because somebody was hating.
When I say success, I mean like good job, house, car, all of the things that the American dream level of success. You have that.
I do.
So you're speaking from a place of privilege, in my opinion, because I'm saying like success in terms of somebody working hard and they don't have a place to stay. Somebody working hard and they're sleeping in their car.
I'm gonna push back on that and say you might be living in an apartment, you want a house. You might be driving an older car, you want a newer car. But for the most part, up until recently, if you were willing to work hard and work long enough.
See, that's your age showing.
If you were willing to work hard and work long enough, sleeping in the car.
No.
It happens. No. It happens.
You're thinking with that Barack Obama economy mentality right now. We're not there no more.
Okay.
We're not there no more. We're very far removed.
Now, even the best of us could find ourselves in a situation.
Yes, but I'm saying even pre that, let's go back to 2016.
Okay.
There were still a lot of people that were working hard that still weren't able to afford what some may consider basic necessities or slight luxuries.
The full American dream, a lot of people never get that. I get what you're saying. A lot of people don't get the house, the car, the good job, and the vacations when they want to. Like I get that is not afforded to everybody. But it is attainable, or had been attainable for the most part if you were willing to do certain things. Did everybody that deserved it get it? No. There's never going to be a time when everybody can get what they want.
Being in a bubble.
I am.
You're very much in a bubble because there are plenty of people that I know personally. There's plenty of people that I know they go to work every day, they clock in every day, and they still can't get the same things that me and you are able to achieve. Okay. I feel very blessed, and also whatever the word you want to use.
We're gonna say blessed.
Whatever word, because everybody don't believe in blessed. Whatever word you want to use.
Talking about me and you, it's blessed.
If things would have deviated slightly, then I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today. Having the job that I have, not having student loans, I wouldn't be in that position.
But nobody gets everything. Even people that look like they get everything.
No, nobody gets everything, but we're talking about people that don't have basic American dream, if you looked it up in a dictionary, essentials.
I agree, yeah. But to say, I think a lot of people disagree with Anthony Mackie by saying that success is given, because it almost gives the air of you didn't have to do it, you didn't have to work at all. It was just given to you.
It's just,
I'm not saying that's what he meant, because I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant more in the line of what we're discussing. But when people heard that, I think they took offense because it felt to them like he was saying, you know, people are just being handed success.
And I feel like it takes a very privileged person to not understand when their success was given. I don't have any problem saying my success was given.
Look.
Earned, given, I still got it. It don't matter to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a large majority of cases, people are either set up to succeed or they are set up to fail. Even within people in the same family.
I don't know. I think some people are set up to succeed. I don't know that anybody's going out of their way to set people up to fail. People just fail to set them up. Well, that's what happens in those cases. But I think
it's like you can look at a set of siblings and be like, well, this sibling obviously was the favorite, so they were set up to succeed, and this sibling was going to like, okay, whatever.
That's not true, though. That's not true, though, because no, you could have kids raised by the same parent in the same household. It's kind of that, and I hate to keep being biblical about it, but it's kind of like, you know, where the one son was given, both sons were given opportunity, one invested.
I'm not talking about those cases. There's other people in the world that don't necessarily follow in that
sometimes people are positioned in the same exact position, and based on their choices, one is successful and one is not. And even in families, you can have 6 kids and 3 out of the 6 go on and do well and 3 turn into complete and total bums. It depends on the decisions that are made.
But I feel like if you take a very analytical approach to, like, if you just met a random person on the street and was just like, what is your life story? Mm-hmm. Depending on their level of success in the majority of people's minds, there's going to be something that happened that either propelled them forward or set them back. And most of the time, I don't think that's within people's control.
Yeah. I mean, yeah and no. I'm going to still say it's a mixture of assistance from the outside and then your
like there's
abilities.
Some people that I met in my life to where it's like I heard about their life and I'm just like, oh yeah,
there's tragic lives. There's absolutely
but there's some
tragic
people I'm
lives.
just like, you're gonna be, and then other people it's just like, ooh, roadblock after roadblock after and it's not within people's control.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm not saying that everybody that's not successful deserves not to be successful or that they didn't try or that they didn't work hard. I'm absolutely not saying that. What I'm saying though is people that are successful, oftentimes it was opportunity and hard work that they put together. Some people just have been dealt a bad lot. People that grew up in abusive households, people that live in countries where you're not allowed to exercise freedom or, you know, whatever. There's always going to be people outside of that opportunity bubble. But what I'm saying is, when you are able to penetrate the opportunity bubble and get inside, is what you do once you get inside that makes a difference. That's what I'm saying. Pretty much. So, like, I think it was his wording. I agree with him to a certain extent. I think it was just his wording, and people took it personally. I wouldn't have taken it personally because I know my story. Like,
I feel like my life has been a combination of both. I had the opportunity to be a hard worker. And some people don't have the opportunity
I think that's the best way to put it. Some people are able to exercise their abilities and decision-making skills.
I had no constraints or no restraints on my ability to excel in the things that I excelled at.
And you had a lot of pushes forward, absolutely, by people related to you, unrelated to you. Thank you, University of South Florida. Y'all were very, very lovely to my child. To me too, but especially to my child. So, like, a lot of opportunities. We get professors.
Growing up in the time that there was a lot of things that helped. Like, if I grew up in the Great Depression, I might not be where I am today.
Well, obviously.
So it just
it's kind of like just like some people survived COVID and some people didn't. Lots of people did the same things, took the same precautions. Some people made it, some people didn't. That's going to always be the way of the world. That is always going to be the way of the world.
So, moral of the story is don't compare yourself to other people's lives because they might have had things that you didn't have. You might have things that they don't have. Yeah. Everyone is a unique individual that deserves opportunity.
Make the most of whatever opportunities you are given is all you can do.
Precisely. But moving on to Ask a Gemini, and a kind of, you know, in the same wavelength of this conversation of someone that has something that someone else may want in the comparison and contrast of it. People magazine reported that a woman who had 2 miscarriages says her friend told her she was pregnant and recorded her reaction, and she felt absolutely sick. And I've been seeing people have this conversation a lot online where someone that has gone through miscarriages or not being able to be a mother kind of talking about how it feels when they see their family or friends experience something that they always wanted to experience. Mm-hmm. So do you think that this woman was being selfish by not fully being able to celebrate her friend because of her own misfortune? Or do you think that her feelings were valid and that the friend maybe should have taken into consideration her situation and not put her on the spot in that type of way?
I'm trying to figure out how you could call yourself somebody's friend, know that they have experienced miscarriages and apparently wanting a child, and then decide that it's a good idea to record their reaction to them telling you that they're pregnant. Telling them that you're pregnant, that's a friend. Of course you're going to do that. But why are you recording that particular person's reaction?
You know, I think
I may have I would have to know. I think I may have
a different take, and it also depends on how recently were these miscarriages.
Yeah, that
to when the other woman got pregnant, that matters. Because if it was just like 3 weeks ago, girl, you wrong. But if she had miscarriages 10 years ago, mm-hmm. and then now her friend is, having a baby, I don't think her friend should have to but
why are you recording? Telling her.
Because that's the thing. Like, recording, maybe in my mind, I'm thinking she recorded his family. She recorded her family. She recorded her friends.
But that's called wisdom. No, this is a person. We need to skip the recording. And we don't know whether she just had
the phone in front of the friend's face and was just like, I'm pregnant. It might have been something where she was in a group with other people.
Now, and see, that's all the moving parts. We don't know all of the backstory. We don't know everything.
But I still think, as a friend, you could still be happy for your friend who's pregnant.
Absolutely.
Your miscarriages don't really have anything to do. She is still allowed to be happy while still feeling bad for you and not making you feel excluded from the situation. But if I was a woman, which God forbid, let me knock on somebody's wood. But if I had miscarriages, but then my best friend got pregnant, I'm still elated for you. I'm still auntie.
Yeah. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. If somebody it's coming up to Mother's Day in a couple months, somebody just lost their mom, you don't want to call them telling them all the wonderful things you're doing for your mom on Mother's Day. No. Somebody lost their father, you don't want to call them on, right before Father's Day. That's insensitive. So the question is, what was the timing? Like you said, how recent were the miscarriages? And then, okay, let's say she videotaped her making the announcement, her friend reacted badly. Let's just say that's the case. Even you taking umbrage to the situation after the fact, like maybe you didn't know that it was going to bother your friend. You record, but then to discuss the reaction after the fact, to me is completely insensitive, because it's not like you don't know why.
I think that this article was from the woman who had the miscarriage.
Okay, because I was going to say
it wasn't from the pregnant woman's perspective.
That's better. That's a little bit better. Okay, but even I just question. There's no way for me to really have an opinion about this unless I knew all of the story, because there are some people that have a miscarriage. There's some people that have multiple miscarriages. There's some people that want to have kids casually. Okay, one day I'm going to have a baby. And then there's some people that have been yearning to have a child forever and ever. Amen.
Miscarriages are fairly common.
People don't realize that.
And sometimes people have miscarriages that they didn't even know they had until
they didn't even know that they were pregnant. So yeah, it could happen. I can say that when an old friend and I reconnected, and I can remember her, and I was like, where you been? What's been going on? Mm-hmm. Let's get caught up. And I can remember her saying to me, it's a good thing that we're reconnecting now, because if I had reconnected with you when all that, like you had a baby and all, she's like, if I had reconnected with you then, I would have been very jealous. I would have been very bitter, because my life was falling apart, because she had recently got a divorce. She had been, trying to get pregnant, like meet somebody trying to get pregnant, because the whole time that I ever knew this person, they wanted kids. Like she was somebody that made it very clear she wanted kids. That was one of her primary goals in life, was to be a mom. So when she and I reconnected, she's like, it's a good thing, because all the things that I was wanting at the time were happening for you, and I wouldn't have been able to be happy with you. And I thought that was a very honest person. That was somebody that was being very genuine. She's like, I'm so glad that we are, connected now, that, things are good for both of us. I will say too, when I initially got married. It's like, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. I
Yeah.
don't want to have kids. Then I was like, okay, if it happens, it happens. And then when I got to the point where, okay, I actively wanted to have a child and it wasn't happening, I did kind of look at like teen moms and people that I, being the judgmental person that I was then.
That you still are now.
That I still am. But like, especially then, like, what is that little teenager going to do with a baby? Like, what is she doing? Isn't that her third baby? Like I did get in my feelings a little bit at certain situations because it's like, here I am, you know.
But I think that's
perfectly positioned to be a mother and it's not happening for me. So I think it
petty.
depends on,
I feel like comparison is the thief of joy in this instance.
this is not comparison. This is being a human being. Being a human being.
But like also, like I'm not gonna get mad at someone.
Not mad. I don't think that you should get mad. I don't even think jealousy is a positive emotion. Like it's never a positive emotion, but you can't help but look and think, oh my goodness, like
I remember
everybody
one
around
time
me.
when I was much younger. One of
Well,
my
how much when you were a fetus? You're not.
no, when I was like 10, like much
I'm
younger.
just being funny because you talk about much younger.
Yeah,
Anyway.
when I was a child. I'm a grown woman now. When I was a child.
Alrighty.
When I was a kid, I had a friend who at the time, her parents were going through a divorce. Now, fast forward about 10 years, you went through a divorce. So I thought back to the conversation that I had with this person I'm no longer friends with. And I remember her telling me something. And I didn't even talk about my dad a lot to her. Like, it would just be I lived with him.
Yeah,
we were a family. Yeah. So like I would just talk about, oh, my parents and I went to go do whatever. And I remember her saying like, oh, like, well, you know, my family, like, you know, my dad's leaving us. So like it hurts my feelings when you talk about your dad. And at the time I was just like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. Then fast forward to when y'all got a divorce and I don't have a relationship with my dad. And one of my friends was talking about her dad and I was completely unbothered. Well, now let's keep into
there's differences.
Let's keep in mind that we were children, and now at this point I was an adult, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah,
but I still feel like that sentiment of, well, I don't have a daddy, so you can't have a daddy either, is very crazy.
Okay, and then let mom try to add some things, some food for thought to that. You got to also remember that particular friend, they were struggling. And dad leaving was going to make the struggle worse. Your dad leaving didn't cause you to struggle. So like it wasn't quite the same scenario.
That wasn't the vein of the conversation was like father figure, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, and everybody
and I'm just using that as an example.
Everybody is different. Everybody is different in how they process. Everybody is different in how things hit them. There are some people that, well, you know, I just lost my dad. And there were some people that were acting like, well, they were literally saying to me, they were shocked that I was at work and they were shocked that I was doing this and they were shocked that I was doing that. They didn't know the whole background. They didn't know how long he had been sick. Yeah. They didn't know how long he had suffered. They did not know where a lot of people, and one of the ladies that was very helpful to me was every time she would talk to me about having to help me with something because of the loss of my dad, she would get so emotional because her dad had passed and it had been several years, like over a decade. I was able to hold it together because I knew all of the things that led up to his passing. So it didn't affect me the way that people expected it to affect me. Do I wish that had not happened? Yes, I do. Do I sometimes, it hits me in waves. It hits me in private. I have thought, like I told you, I dreamed about him the other day. Like different things happen to different people in different ways. Some people are stronger than others.
Being that's your dad, that's my grandfather. If somebody else is talking about how wonderful their grandfather is, I'm not going to be like,
upset because
my grandfather died.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to ruin the moment of, or if someone just lost their grandfather, I'm not going to blurt in and be like, I lost my granddad. Like, it's just, I feel like you have to be somewhat of an empathetic person and a non-attention seeking person to not make that. I don't think it's
attention seeking. I just think that some people are stronger than others.
I've gathered more information. I found the article. And apparently both women had been friends for 20 years.
Okay.
And she was at a dinner with, it was the woman who had miscarriages, the woman who was pregnant, and then another friend. And she recorded the both of them as she was telling them that she was pregnant.
Okay.
So I feel like in that situation, if y'all are all a friend group, y'all are a trio.
Yeah.
Is that one friend not supposed to share her happy news just because of your one situation?
I'm going to always be the devil's advocate, or maybe not the devil's advocate in this particular situation, friend who had not suffered miscarriages or who was good not being a mother or who was already a mother is going to definitely react different than friend that has suffered the miscarriages. And I get if y'all live the Three Musketeers, but I feel you want to share with the both of them.
The article would have been, oh, my friend didn't include me in the video because
I think there's a way to do everything. And maybe this wasn't the best way. I will never know. You will never know. But maybe this wasn't the best way. We don't know if the person that's telling this story is hypersensitive or if the person that gave the news was insensitive. We will never know that.
Sensitivity to the side and be happy for your friend.
I'm going, as someone that has lived more than twice as long as you, I'm going to say sometimes. And even if it caught her off guard to where it made her upset, I feel like you could have expressed it later, like, that made me upset, but, like, doing a whole Reddit post about it is just like, girl, now your friend feels bad. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, in the news right now, maybe not by the time this airs, but in the news right now, the whole Breakfast Club thing. Let's look at it from that scenario. Jess Hilarious came out and said a whole bunch of stuff publicly that everybody was like, she shouldn't have said that publicly. And initially I felt a certain way. It's like, okay, maybe she shouldn't have done blah, blah, blah. And then later on is more information, if she's being honest, if the information is accurate. Later on, she came back on and she explained why she was behaving. Now, was some of her behavior immature? It absolutely was. Was she targeting Lauren, who was an seemingly innocent person in the situation? Yes, she was. But after she gave her backstory, I gave her a little bit more grace because she explained that behind the scenes, she was asking the questions that she should have asked. So, like, sometimes things will seem one way on the surface, but if you dig a little bit further, you'll find out things. So what I'm saying is, I don't know whose side to be on in this situation, but I can identify with both sides. I mean,
I can definitely feel for her, but, like, I also think this is your friend's house. That would be like someone gets a proposal and then your best friend is single and she's like, I really don't want to hear about your proposal. Like, girl, if you don't fix your face.
Now that would be told, if she vocalized, I don't want to hear it, that's different. But to say it affected you in a certain way. I also think, and because I've been defending the person that had the miscarriages, I also think on her part, she was wrong for publicizing her processing of this with her friend. I think she should not have made this into a thing. I think it was anonymous,
but still, I feel like your friend is going to,
your friend is going to see this, like, come on. And now she's going to feel badly about something at a time that she should be joyful. So I think there was wrongs on both sides.
I hate friends who make, this is going to sound mean, but who make their problems your problems in times when it's like, this moment is about me.
You got to let people have their moment.
Now you're dragging me down.
You got to let them have their moment. I feel like
that's the type of thing that ends friendships if you're constantly the person that's like, oh, what was me?
Because while I think that the friend that made the birth announcement or the pregnancy announcement should have been sensitive to her feelings, I also think it's equally insensitive for you to now make it a thing and kind of villainize her publicly. Yeah. I think in this particular case, what you had a right to your feelings. I validate your feelings, but then you should have kind of kept that. That should have never been. And
it's not like a one time. It's not like a one time. She's going to be pregnant for 9 months, so the entire 9 months. Now I'm gonna feel crazy because she's not gonna want to share with you. She also said that she texted her friend after telling her how it made her feel. Now, as the pregnant woman, I'm just like,
I'm not gonna want to talk to you about my pregnancy.
And then now you're gonna feel left out because me and other homegirl are going out to have lunch and baby clothes shopping,
baby everything.
And it should be because she's a new mom. Like that's what her life is. That's what her life is. And I feel like this is also a type of friendship where it's like maybe y'all can't grow together because I feel like there's been times where me and my friends have been in different places in our lives. Like right now, we're somewhat in different places in our lives. The majority of my friends are still getting their education, getting, their PhD, advanced degrees, becoming a doctor, like whatever.
Which in itself is something to be celebrated.
Exactly. And I'm more in the workforce and I'm more like, oh, I can't wait until I can get married and have my white picket fence and like I'm more in that realm of my life. And I would hate it if they felt a certain type of way whenever I get proposed to or whenever I get my first home or whenever I have my first kid, if that's not where they are yet.
Here's the thing, the lucky situation for you and them is you'll have things going on that can be celebrated. They'll have things to be celebrated. Well, yeah,
of course.
Y'all are making different choices or y'all are at different places in your lives right now. them, when they get those PhDs and those medical degrees or whatever it is that they're pursuing, because all of your friends are smart and I love that. But when they get those things, we're going to celebrate that. When you get the proposal, marriage, babies, well, celebrate that. The thing about it is, if you're true friends, you celebrate each other's
and that's why I feel
and good moments, and keep it pushing. It cannot always be about you, but you also have to be mindful.
And also, and I will say too, it depends on how pregnant woman was there for friend that was going through the miscarriage. Like, was she there for you and supported you and gave you your time, and now it's her time?
And especially if she was one of those people where when she had the miscarriages and she shared that, she acted like it ain't a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, well, stuff. All of that. And we will never know a lot of what we discuss on this podcast. We never know the backstories. We're just giving our opinions based on the limited information that we have.
We're using it as a jumping off point to have a conversation.
We're not professing to know. And all of the decisions or recommendations or tips that we give are always going to be appropriate. It depends on the situation. Yeah. So anyway, be a good friend. Celebrate each other's victories.
Good luck to new mom, and I hope the other friend is doing well, and she can either adopt or try having another baby.
Because I'll just say to her, over my lifetime, and it's been many, many years, over 100 years, as I like to say, there's been women that thought that they could not have kids that end up with kids. So do not lose hope. I hope that what you want happens for you, and that is a very, very joyous. And I
feel bad for friend 3 because she probably in the middle of all of it.
Is probably navigating and getting phone calls from both of them. So girl, be strong, give good advice.
Yeah. But moving on to Gemini Gems, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Okay, I will go first, I guess. Okay, so if you are of similar age to me, you probably have heard all your life that you can't take a cold glass dish, a cold glass baking dish, or anything and put it directly into the stove or into the oven, because it will shatter if it's cold. I've known that all my life. That was not a surprise to me. What I didn't know and found out recently was if the dish has heated up to a certain temperature and you go to add liquid to it, if that liquid is, even if it's not cold, that liquid can still shatter that glass dish. I did not know that, and I thought that I had been doing that and nothing had happened. But if you have a glass baking dish and you attempt to add liquid, I'm assuming, because I'm not a scientist, somebody let us know in the comments if you know, you go to add liquid, even if it's not cold, even if you feel like it's warm or room temperature, you can still shatter that dish, and it's a hot mess in your oven. Don't do it.
And then let's just say they didn't take your advice, and then the glass shatters. You can use bread to pick up the piece. Because, when glass shatters, there's little tiny shards everywhere. And obviously, you're going to pull out your vacuum and get it all up, or your dustpan and broom or whatever. But you can use bread to pick up those pieces and then go back over it by, sweeping or vacuuming.
Yeah, if it's on the counter or in your oven somewhere where you don't want to put a cloth, or you don't want to have to throw away your sponge because you're afraid that there's glass in it, a piece of bread. Because in my case, the dish that shattered was on the counter when it shattered, and I, was able to gather those glass shards.
And that food was looking good too.
I was so disappointed because it was going to be delicious, y'all.
With all of that being said, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Period.